All right, so we're back. Hello, happy Friday, pre-weekend, before New Year's partying starts. We're good. We're waiting for snow. It's getting dark out. We're supposed to get 3 to 5 inches, and it's supposed to snow all night. I like it when it's during the day and I can watch it, but I'm sure that everybody who has to drive in it is happy that it's going to be, well, it's not starting yet. And in 1 hour, most people will be on their way home from work, so at least around here. So anyway, I got donated, after all this baking for everybody else, I got donated a little bag of assorted cookies. And I actually don't like to accept those kinds of things, but in the spirit of Christmas, I could not say no. But I happen to love these suckers. These little pecan balls. I've been meaning to make these. You can do it with pecan, you can do it with almond, and I just got some almond paste specifically for making almond cookies. All right, so let me see, where am I? I can't text you unless I have my page up. There it is, snows are coming. Yep, I can see. I'm wearing pink. Come on. Oh. Getting it up on the screen, I don't know why it's different all the time. It's probably not, it just seems like it is. There we go. View channel. Gotta remember, view my own channel. And now I can do things like that. And of course, like that. Okay. I have been actually trying to get here. Well, so I tried to be here like at 1 o'clock, and nothing was working out because people needed me. Not in bad ways, you know, it's just attention kept getting drawn away from painting. Other than saying, oh yeah, I've got to finish the paintings. And then I've got to clean everything up so I can make room for the bigger paintings. Because everything I'm doing all began, not everything I'm doing, everything you've been seeing for the last year, almost, I've been focused mainly on the paintings I've been doing for my almost 99-year-old friend Gloria. Thank goodness we went from a painting a day to what I could mail her. So I hate that she's not getting 7 paintings a week. On the other hand, postage is expensive. Mailing them is definitely different because she's no longer my neighbor. She's in a nursing home. So I try to make sure she gets at least 2 and sometimes 3 a week. But that's about as good as I can do right now. With my stepfather, now he's just recently gone into, right now he's in rehab. And I try to make sure that he gets 1 a week. I have to be careful with doing that. I discovered this year that this paper, I really like it. It's great weight. Price can't be beat. $3 for 24 sheets. I love that it is an off-white, so it's not bleached. It's supposed to be, oh, it's acid-free, acid neutralized, acid-free. The thing is about it, it's layered. I mean, like, well, when you make paper, there's a variety of ways to make paper, but in general, you have a swill of paper fibers, whatever you're going to turn into paper. It could be masticated grass, as long as it's a fine enough fiber so that when you lift it up out of the water with a screen underneath it, it makes this mesh all over it. Now you can imagine like taking a sieve, a spaghetti strainer, and you dip it into a bowl, you pull it out, or a scoop, everything is, the water goes away and you're left with everything. And if you're just using really fine fibers, it makes a nice layer, and you learn how to do that. Rise your screens, which are the size of your paper, a little bit bigger, and into the water it goes, and up it comes, and it makes a mesh, and that's generally one sheet of paper right there. This is done as if it is one sheet of paper, and then they did it again with another sheet of paper of a different texture, or even, I can't tell, gluing, using an adhesive to put two layers together that are very different in texture. Now the hard part, the hard back, smooth, that's just hot press, meaning I could actually take this and just use it for doing a finer detail. I love the heavier texture. That is the face up of this pad, so it's probably the one they're pushing most. But hot press, it means it's been like ironed, it's like goes through these hot rollers and it makes it nice and smooth. So it's good for detail work, which I very, very rarely do. I'm more of a mushy, impressionistic painter. I don't know, it's probably a name for it. Emotionalist. I just like to go with the flow, whatever the flow happens to be that day or week. And I get bored of doing the same thing over and over, but that's what I've had to do lately. Some repeat stuff, but that's because I've been doing greeting cards. And honestly, I don't celebrate any of the holidays like a lot of people do. No, I'm not an atheist. I just don't do holidays the same way anymore. Now that I'm an old lady. Yeah, we're going to cut that again. Anyway, it's a strange paper, and if it's not handled right, it'll split that way. It's strange. See, you do not like to line up there. I don't like I really like the way this operates, but the measurements, it's a strange grid. That's better. And you. So did y'all have a good holiday, if you celebrate? So I don't celebrate Christmas in the religious sense, but I do celebrate it as a festival of light and love and exaggerated kindness in the world for 24 hours. Okay, we're still not even, but it's okay. This is going to become 2. My cookies came out very nicely last night, and they're all gone today. I made 2 sizes. I made like look kind of like an empanada, but it was like gingerbread and very soft because it was cake. And a little bit of cream cheese filling that I made with sugar and vanilla. And then others were like buttons with the cream cheese in the middle. I didn't have to use my thumb. I used a spoon and made perfect little circles. Just, they looked really nice. I keep forgetting, take pictures so people know what you're doing. But I keep forgetting. I just want the people to eat them, enjoy them. Okay, so yesterday we left off with this excess gold. And with their paper. Oh, why am I just gonna, I'll finish my cookie. Okay. I'll have to use that. I like that. We'll do a little one. Whoa. One of our fairly new tenants, we were talking today about planning on doing a bad art party here. Just to get people out of their apartments and using their creativity, but not making them stick to one medium. Because a lot of them want to learn how to use what they've got, and I am experienced with several mediums, so I figured to bring your own stuff, tell me where you're stuck, maybe I can help. And if I can't, I know where to find it. Right here on YouTube. You know, I loved YouTube more when it was, people had to show their work, you know? But now there is so much AI. I am so sick of AI already. I'm sick of the AI narration. I'm sick of the composites, a bunch of other images that they didn't originate, and using, you know, static to make it look like it's old cracked film or some other noise on the screen. It's like, this is just so amateur. And I know that the AI is all this kind of sophisticated, but I don't know. I was married to an artist, and I've been around artists a lot, and I'm not impressed. I know that you can configure a lot of different things, and it's just the same shit over, you know, hyper magnified, but it's basically the same thing. It's kind of like, to me, when we got our first computers and our first computer screens, and you had a choice of two, a green screen or an amber screen. Oh, and then Macs came with the white type on brown, or gray rather. And then suddenly you end up with, oh, RBG screens. Yay, we've got color. Now we've got blue oceans. It's pretty cool. So it's like, okay, so it's the same thing, but it's just magnified. Like, you have this many colors, and now you've got, I don't know, what's the calculation, latest calculation of how many colors the computer is capable of creating. But the human eye is only capable of perceiving a fraction of the colors that exist, which is pretty interesting. Okay, this blobbed it too much right there. And usually when it's down, it ain't coming back up, not on watercolor paper. And in fact, I dislike of lines, like when you sketch something and then you want to color it. I was trying to do it without any kind of sketch. Everything has to come out of my head because I don't like the lines. And I thought, oh, you know, I need to do some lines when I'm doing cabins and stuff like that. But I have to erase them after I get the paint down, but once the paint's down, it's really difficult, if not impossible, to erase those little lead lines. So I've got in my first set of watercolor pencils, hoping and thinking, I said, oh, it dissolves, huh? And if I make a gray line instead of a pencil line, regular pencil, when I hit it with water, it should disappear into the painting. It turned out not to work out quite that way. You can do lots of cool stuff with them, but you are going to frequently see a line which it's almost like a scratch mark. I don't know if it's just because you press, to deposit the pigment. But I ended up liking my small set so much, I got a larger set. And then I got really into this set, and I realized I'm going to run out of some of these colors because I tend to use them more than anything else. Like, we don't really use much in black or some of the dark blue pencils. That's just some colors you don't use a lot of. But the ones I was using a lot of, the company was from China, and I could not find a manufacturer. And also, there's no way to identify the right color. There's no name on the pencil, and there's no number. And professional grade stuff has identification because they have to match batch to batch. So if they say, this is number 964, it has to look like 964. And then the price of replacing, even just getting close to it, it's like $2.85 per pencil. And the way I use some of these colors, like the yellow, I was afraid again. I was like, this is going to cost me a fortune. I don't like that. I like regular watercolors. They're more concentrated and they go further. That looks almost like a flower. Not quite what I was envisioning, but it's just to wish somebody Happy New Year. So we'll just do what is demanded. Oh, I guess it's the last ones of 2025. Got to start writing 2026. Okay. And a note goes on the back of that. And here I think we are going to take the safe route and use acrylic paint and skip the glue. Charming. Of course, this is really right next to the microphone, so I bet that sounds appetizing. Alright. I have a feeling we've got some drying on the inside of the needle. Oh yeah, one of the women was talking about what she needs to know in painting. She needs to know how to hold the brushes. And the thing about brushes is that unless it's a specialty brush, a lot of it has to do with how you like to work. And also what you're trying to achieve. I use these a lot for outlining. And this is for doing detail work on acrylic fingernails. It's a disposable brush that I've made last now over a year for sure, going on 2 I think, because I use water, not enamel. When I'm making these lines, I'm not using this or holding this like a pencil. I'm dragging it and I'm using my hands, my fingers underneath it to help stabilize the line. Not that I don't make mistakes still, but you have to just get used to what's going to work for your hand. Now if I wanted to make dots, there's a brush called a spotter, and it is for picking out little teeny areas and leaving a little spot of pigment. And those, again, it just depends on how is it comfortable in your hands. But because it's a spotter, you can go head on if you want, or just slightly off on an angle. In any case, you get used to using your brushes. It's more of trial and error than it is a specific single technique for everyone. Brushes, like in oil painting and acrylic painting, if you're working on big canvas especially, you'll notice the brushes have shapes, and the shapes are meant to make certain kinds of stroke. But the minute you try a brush like that, you're going to see exactly what kind of stroke it makes, and you'll determine how you're going to hold it, dabbing it or spreading it or some stuff, you know. It's like whatever works for you. Other things, like little swords, this comes to a point on one side. So I can swash it, I can drag it and make a fine line, and because it does come to a point, I can do a little bit of dabbing and get just little dots. So it's not always, you know, it's a brush, it's your techniques with that configuration of brush. I saw a technique of making birds with a thumbprint. A thumbprint, a thumb stuck in watercolor and stuck on the paper. It's adorable and so simple. It's like just use your imagination to create anything. Okie dokie. I could use this to go around, but I think we're gonna use a color, and I'll use this brush. No, I'll use this shorter, fine one. I see texts here coming in the background. Oh, okay. From my favorite niece. Hello, darling. Okay. Oh, that orange would be nice in here. Let's see, the candles were done with watercolors, iridescent watercolors, regular watercolor, and I came back in to deepen some of the colors with watercolor pencils. So, working together, they have been giving me a lot of pleasure. And it's all learning. This is the first year I've ever worked with watercolor pencils. Oh, but when I finally decided I am going to replace those missing colors, or my wearing colors, I found a deal for a set that is professional grade, named and numbered, with backstock, in a metal case, 160. 160. But I'm not letting myself play with that until I wear out those colors there, and then it's like, oh, okay, now those can become the backups, and we get out the other set. So I'm having a good time with that. That's the color. Let's go with that. I've got the glue gun heated up and ready to go. So when I finish this, I'll attach another couple of candles to another background. We'll see how they did from yesterday. No snow yet. Not everybody looks forward to snow like I do here. Of course, I look forward to it because I can watch it and I don't have to shovel it. And I don't have a car to dig out of it anymore, so I miss having a car, but I don't miss shoveling it out. Okay, so here is an example of how I hold this, because I want that long brush part to stay in line. If I try dabbing it, it'll bend it, and then it could go in any direction, which is exactly what we don't want. Now I can use the point to carefully guide the excess paint down here and bring it around the circle here, corner. But this is the challenging part, is between these objects. Normally I take care of that before I glue things on, and I did not do that this time. So I don't have as even a line because I had to go head on, and yep, the point of it, det went kaputt. And you lighten up your pressure as you get to the end. You know what's really funny is that was taught to me by my father, teaching me something about me trying to show somebody else or explain to somebody else about how I did my eyeliner. And I was not good at explaining, and my father broke it down like that. Reduce the pressure of the end of the brush, and you get that. I was like, oh, that is what I'm doing. Thanks, Dad. Some of my father's best advice was given at the age of, when I was the age of 15 and 16. That looks cheerful. Hello, darling. I am so impressed by you. Just so impressed. I'm sorry, I just can't get myself to join Substack. Is that the name of it? Every time I go to leave a comment, I have to create an account, and I just do not want to make an account in a public forum at this point. But I don't want to lose track of your stuff. So I didn't leave a comment. I tried, but then it was like, oh, I was like, I'll just have to speak to her when I see her next. So I am great. Let me see who's. Oh, husband number one texted me. He knows the casino I went to. I went to a casino the other day, Christmas Eve, to have lunch and coffee and just be by myself and walk around, look at the decorations, grab a couple of photos, which I did. It just never occurred to me that I forgot that my in-laws, ex-in-laws, were from the area. And when I married Tommy and, well, moved to California and married him out there, the casinos were just being finished being built. So I never saw even a drawing of them, had no clue. And so my first, I'm still kind of cool. It's like, it's a safe place to walk in the winter. You know, we don't have sidewalks around here. We're out, you know, weird edge of town kind of a thing. Edge of town, edge of woods. So I go there to walk, get a coffee, sit down, watch people a little bit, chit chat, and go home. Oh, did it show up? Oh, good. Yes, 3 to 5 inches of snow. What can I say about what I just read of yours? Because it's so heavy, and I understand. I mean, you described survivalism absolutely perfectly. Of course, from it's like it's true. Your head is down. Time, what's time? And the more you see the lies of society, the arbitrary rules, the suppression, all of it, you know, it's overwhelming, which is why really you have to keep your head down for survival's sake, and you have to find that inner light. That you just have to focus on that, is try to find it no matter what's going on. That is what saves us. Until the vibration changes, nothing else can change. But time changes with your vibration too. I changed timelines. I know I did. So the thing about when you switch a timeline is, you know. I realized when I recognized it this time, I realized that it happened before, but I did not know. I didn't know the physics. I didn't understand. And so when you switch timelines, reality changes subtly. The same people are there, but circumstances change, like a switch in the railroad track, and suddenly you're parallel. You're just a little bit away, a little further away, and nobody knows, because they're just going ahead with that timeline, that existence. So they have no clue that there's been any kind of change, because for them there hasn't been. It's the way it always has been. And if you go and join it, you'll forget about it eventually. But when you recognize it and you identify it, it changes your perspective forever. So in this generation, we have more people than ever right now are waking up, and they are making changes, subtle energy changes. And when the vibrations change, everything shifts. And you are right. I mean, everything you wrote was spot on. There was nothing I could elaborate on other than when you go through life like that, even if it's not a lifetime, even if it's just several years, well, who can tell? Time doesn't exist in that same way it does for other people. When you are surviving your circumstances, it's all about survival. You become a fortress. You are forged. Your spirit is forged. It's not just born. It is forged in your experiences. And yeah, you are a different person than other people who have never experienced similar things. Um, we're not here to suffer. Suffering really is. The thing is, I can say some things, but I know they're not going to be accessible because they are not accessible until you reach that vibration. And I know everyone has to have their experience, but you're a brilliant writer, and I really wish I could show you how to do the shifting, because the more you practice it, the faster it'll happen, and suddenly things are going to improve. Without you making anything, without forcing, without doing, without speaking aloud. It's an energetic thing when you are able to maintain a certain vibration, but you can't make leaps in vibration because of momentum. A whole lifetime of momentum, it carries its own weight. That's why people have such a hard time escaping their pasts, even when physically they're removed from them. The past is not removed from them. They're still vibrating in the back of their minds, and if they keep hooking up with them, they just strengthen instead of moving on and creating a new path. But reality shifts according to your beliefs. So the only way to see that is if you stop paying attention to reality, so that you can focus on the reality you choose to create. And that's the best way I can say it in the moment. But if you ever want to talk about that, it's not as satisfying in email, but I'll answer anything I can. It's physics. That's the thing. It is physics. And no, I didn't take a physics class, but I know it's physics because I have watched and read. I just never studied it formally. So I've got my own understandings. I'm terrible with math, so I can't do formula, but I can see principles. I can see mechanics. I can't explain it. It doesn't matter because we all have to have our own experience of it. There are definitely things I experience that I know the average person does not yet, but more younger people are coming into that and they will experience it. I discovered the shift. I discovered how I did it totally accidentally. See, I'm endeavoring to not react. When you react to something, you make it more real, okay? You give it more material depth when you react to it. So when you have a disaster around you, you need to be clear-minded if you're going to help or survive it. But when you escape the circumstance that's traumatic, even briefly, you need to be able to settle your own spirit down and not make it even bigger in your mind. Once it's done, it's past tense, actually. So if you keep focusing on what already happened, you're still renewing that energy, you see. Okay, what happened for this was somebody stole a package, all right? They stole it right next, my apartment is next to the emergency stairwell. And sometimes the delivery people just go, I'm at the end of the line, so they just take the stairs. But people go up and down the stairs too for exercise, and also apparently some nefarious reasons. And we've had a lot of theft going on. Well, after my package was stolen, I mentioned to a woman who works here in the building about that, and she said, well, you're right across the hall from so and so, aren't you? And I said, yeah. She said, well, she has a ring in her door. She has a camera. Ask her if she'll look back on the footage and if she can spot who's there. right? So I asked her if she would look over the last, few days, um, and let me know if she saw anybody grabbing a package. So she did, and she came back with the report that she didn't see anything. And so either, I said, so I thought at that time, oh, she must have, I probably didn't have her look far back enough because she took off for a few days. So maybe you need to go like the day before she looked. But I didn't want to make an issue out of it because like I figured the package gone is gone, forget it. I'll get it replaced if I can, whatever. Well, it's very easy for you to get paranoid, right? Because, oh my God, they stole it right there, right there. They could just go right there. Greetings, darling. So they could steal it right next to, I mean, I could have made it a bigger thing in my mind, right? I could have been paranoid about not even being safe because somebody could do something into my apartment and escape faster than anybody could possibly catch them. I could have made it a big deal in my mind, but I knew consciously that was a foolish thing to do. It's like you don't put your energy in a thing that's going to make you more fearful. Fear is the enemy. If you're fearing, you're in the wrong vibe, right? So I like, okay, I'll let it go. And I actually shifted my energy about the whole situation, and I completely lost my fear or concern that future packages would be stolen. I expect to get my packages genuinely. And a few days later, something came up. Oh, I asked the woman with the camera what camera she got and if she was using a subscription service. And she said, what camera? She didn't have a camera. So I went and asked the person who told me about it, and she said, I don't remember having that conversation. Now, this is over days. She did not remember saying my neighbor had a camera and that I should ask her. No, 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 definitely not. Um, I think she genuinely just didn't go far back enough, that maybe only the footage may not go very far back. I don't know. That's why I asked her about it. But at the time, she was very clear that she had a camera. Okay, now, if this had happened in 24 hours, I would say, okay, hey, what were you, stoned? I would have questioned my sanity. But this happened over a period of about a week between the theft, the questioning, waiting for her to get back from wherever she was so I could ask her to look at her film or however, her images. The whole thing, this took days. So when it shifted, I was like, I recognize this. I shifted the energy and I moved the timeline. I skipped, and when I skipped, I eliminated a factor. The neighbor on the new timeline doesn't have a camera. The neighbor I moved in here with had one. So when I saw that, I remembered in the past other incidences, and it's like, if I had made a big deal about that and I'd gotten fearful, I probably would have stayed on the same timeline and she'd still have a camera. No, I'm talking physics. The understanding of what you can change with vibration. Sounds Twilight Zone, but that's okay. Not everyone is ready to see this. People will see more of it as we're able to bring more. That's all right, honey. It doesn't matter. It's not important for you. You have other things right now that you need to be more involved with. So don't worry about it. But I was talking about you, grandson, today. I was talking about all my children around the world and how much I love streaming because of them. Oh no, that's still a tree shape. We can make these into... No. What was I thinking? No. Okay. I have to get a different piece of paper, which I just coincidentally cut. Oh, thank you, Manal. And what are you not doing? Are you done with law? Is that what you're saying? Oh yeah, I forget. Carlos is Charlie. Yep, I would say that is significant understanding. Know thyself. Basic. Have you talked about this with your parents? Well, that is why I sent you something to listen to over the last week and a half. Oh, please, I'm wasting my youth. Okay. You're feeling guilt over something you should not be feeling guilt over. Charlie, if you don't try, you never know if it's for you or not. And the only way to know about a profession as serious as law is fucking go after it and try. And if you go into it and you've given it 2 years, that's a very reasonable attempt. You'll not be the first person who changed their major or dropped out to give themselves some time to think about what they want to do. You had a dream for a long time and it's really hard to just drop it. You're not wasting anybody's money. Your parents, as parents, in theory, should want the best for you, and that's helping you discover who you are and how you can be the best you, not a clone of either one of your parents. Well, if you keep focusing on it, you'll make it more true. Are your parents giving you shit because you're not going to follow through on a degree that they agreed that you could or should do? When you say logistical nightmare, in what aspect? Financial? Okay, so backtrack a second. Your number one obligation is to learn the power that comes with experiencing joy. Knowing yourself is joy. You're meant to be joyful here. And if you are caught up in other people's ideals or what you think you should be or should do, you're only going to undermine yourself, the part of you that came here to explore and create and be an adventurer. You're only going to have this body and this timeline once. And when you learn more about other parts of your capabilities as an entity, you can do more. But right now, you're stuck being human. The better part of you is not human, all right? You're just human temporarily. So don't take everything so seriously. Yes, some circumstances certainly suck. What is the challenge in that? I need to go and do my best, and this ain't it. All right, so big deal. So 2 trips to get your stuff. Either that or it'll cost you to ship stuff back and not make it 2 trips, but all right, don't make yourself guilty about making a change in your course. You're going to make many course adjustments throughout your life, or you will end up in bad places if you just carry on because you think you're supposed to. This is not a do or die situation. It may feel like that right now at your age, of course. Young people, you're taking a risk. You took a risk. You're continually taking risks. You took a risk and you studied law, and that was your passion. And then you got into it and realized it's not so much your passion. At least what you're doing right now is not what you really thought it was going to be. But are you enjoying the process? I realize that, yes, a lot of study is just not so great. It's just memorizing stuff and passing tests. And I don't believe that's a really great school model, but it's what it is right now. If you mean take a risk on your own, are you meaning moving out of your parents' house, getting just a regular job? I will tell you one thing. The system is not set up to support people who don't make investments or connections. The myth in this country, anyway, that you can be poor and just work harder and get rich is bullshit. It is a myth, that's all. And rich people use that myth to keep poor people poor and enslaved to them. So I have enjoyed living a modest life. I've never been rich, not since I was a little kid. And that didn't last very long. I've always been poor or middle. I've had my challenges. That's just being human. I have enjoyed many, many things. I've done many, many things. I've liked being on my own. Not everybody enjoys it. Their only thing is hook up with somebody, and I've hooked up with myself, and I've enjoyed it. I've hooked up with other people too. I've been married twice, but I love being on my own, and I love doing my own thing. And because I've done my own thing, I've been able to explore what it's like to be a professional entertainer, singer, songwriter, performer. I've gotten to be an author. I've gotten to explore different things, and plus my hobbies. I've enjoyed my life. And if you can do that, then by all means, go for it. But I don't see it as taking a risk. Being alive is a risk. Just decide what path makes... How do you feel when you think about it? Does it make you feel good? If you feel good when you think about something, you're going in the right direction. If you start getting all tense, you're going in the wrong direction. You need to re-examine what you're doing. Sometimes it's a temporary tension, like a test coming up, and you study for it. But if you're not motivated to do all of that, then ask yourself, what is calling to you? Well, maybe you need to re-examine your ambitions. And by the way, those will change throughout your life. We adjust our course as we go. You don't have to know everything that's coming. In fact, don't spoil the surprise. My profession was made of people calling me to get rid of the surprise in life. And watching them go back and forth and torturing themselves, you know, I'm so plugged in. I love surprises. I ask the universe not to tip me off about things because I like surprises. I like something to be waiting for me. And because of the way my vibe is, I'm not expecting bad surprises. I'm expecting good surprises. Chance meetings, fun on the run, just having a good time, meeting interesting people. The land is calling you. And what is unbearably alone? At your age, you should be around people, at least occasionally. You need that. You have to have something to work with. You do not want to end up online and having a online life, and that's all you've got. That's for when there is nothing around. But you have things that you do enjoy doing. I don't think you'd feel unbearably alone. I think that you would find a way to get out there when you need to get out there, and you'd go when you felt inspired to go. Well, it sounds to me like you have some meditating to do. You need to let go of what you've been thinking about long enough to let something else enter your mind. There may be another option. There may be something else that is up there. You now have to determine what it is you desire. Charlie people will appear out of the woodwork, out of nowhere. Well, do you see a path to achieving those ambitions? Does one pop to the mind? Oh. I better do a background. I need to have something this is going to go with. Go with yellow. Go with pink. Go with a mess. Fame is secondary. Fame is usually, don't worry about fame. Who cares about fame? If you don't get pleasure in writing, then you're wasting your time there too. Just write. Writers write. That's their bottom line. I've always thought that when I got to a point where I would have help in basic survival stuff, because so much of your day is taken up in your eating and cleaning and, you know, washing your clothes and cooking. Survival. You have to learn to take care of yourself, because if you can't do that, it doesn't matter where you live, you're screwed. Yep, I guess we're going to use that one. I told you Now, multiple years ago, that you're a creative spirit. I know. But until you make some firm decisions, it's going to come up like that. You'll make the right ones, Charlie, if you let yourself just have time to see what feels right. You're a creative person. It's really hard for creative people when they're trying to burst free. It's really hard for them to settle down to jobs like studying law, dry things that you have to memorize. That is not usually what you see very intensely creative people into. It's more like David Bowie being a passionate writer, but also being a passionate painter with a gallery and a whole side world of promoting young artists. So you're a creative person. I can see why, for being practical, because nobody likes to be a hungry or starving artist, why you would want to take up law. But you've explored it now. You've explored it, and you it's not like you can't wait to get down to those books again. You can't wait to see those law professors. I mean, come on, your energy's not in it. You're into philosophy. Go, so what's holding it up? The semester is over. Are you suggesting that you don't go back at all? Or just go and get your stuff? Make a couple trips? Well, I've got some bad news for you. Even when we're sure, we're a little not sure. But if you feel it inside, that's what you go with. Don't worry about the little bit of doubt. If you feel good, it feels good here, right? In your gut. It says, I like doing this. And thinking about doing not this is uncomfortable, or even feels bad, or anxiety invoking. That's the wrong thing to do. So you'll make the right choice for you. Just please take guilt out of the equation. You needed to do what you did. Everything that you did, you needed to do. And it wasn't just about you. It was also about your parents and what they had to learn about themselves through your actions and what you've said. And it has nothing to do with you. It's not your business. It's theirs. But they had lessons they needed to learn. So don't even think about going backward. Oh, good. You should not. They're your parents. If I had a child, I would want my child to explore. And I would not want them to waste their energy on something they discovered is not their thing. The only way you know if something's your thing or not is by trying it. And that's just life. I think we'll go ahead and put a little bit more. Let's try. Oh, leave well enough alone. I discovered when I lived in the country, well, actually, I discovered it many years ago, but once I was in the country and away from everything and everybody, no family, no friends, just my husband and 5 dogs and 3 cats. A lot of plants. Neighbors, but neighbors acres and acres away. They couldn't hear you if you screamed. I liked that. Different kind of a existence, but that's where I realized that I was at my happiest. I liked being away from society. I liked just having the plants and the woods and the creek and the animals. And I had no problem entertaining myself because I had a million different things I was interested in. I grew mushrooms from spores. You know, I mean, I grew things. I used to do landscaping in SimCity to unwind. I wrote my first book. So I started the show 18 years in. I've loved what I've done. So yeah, and that just is going to compound anxiety if you try to force yourself into that. Just take the plunge. It sounds like you're ready. The challenge has already begun, but don't worry. Every step leads to the next step without you having to freak out about it. When you're relaxed, the answers will come more easily. You have a clear mind when you're relaxed. Then you get tense. Oh, yeah. Well, of course, it'll be good for you. It's good exercise working out there, and it's good to grow your own stuff and connect with the land. And cooking, hey, as long as you got an internet connection, we got you covered. I just told Maui something I only learned this year, and I've been cooking all my damn life. That you can take any can of beans, plain beans, like chickpeas or black beans, rinse them, grind them up in a food processor. You're going to want one. Or you can mash them by hand, but you thin it out, add salt, and you basically make a paste out of it that you cook in your frying pan and turn into a tortilla. There's some simple things you can do that are super healthy, super cheap, and hey, I grew beans because I was able to get sample beans, like 35 cents for 5 beans. So I grew a shitload of different beans. I had a great time doing that. I didn't get a lot of each bean, but I got to see which ones I really liked, which ones grew best on my land, because your land is very different from other people's land. So I learned a lot from those sample seeds, and it was affordable. A few $100, a piano, guitar. Oh, you have a guitar? Oh, that's right. That's right. You had that before you left for school. A couple lamps and another. Yeah, well, sounds like you're off to a good start. I moved in here with my guitar, my desk chair. Not too much more than that. It's a few things from the kitchen. And books. But most of my books had to go in the garbage because they'd gotten mildewed over the 10 years of me moving around. Good. Excellent. I've got a great chord book. I think that's survived. Well, you'll do your best writing when you're alone. When your soul has time to express itself and the freedom because there's nobody listening in. That's how I ended up. I did most of my writing that way. I rented furnished rooms in the city because there weren't many other options for single young women. And I spent all of my downtime writing songs on my guitar until it got to a point of playing them in front of people, and then I started getting requests to play at parties and weddings, and I used to play for tips in the pubs and play bands breaks. And then I moved out of New York and started from scratch in Connecticut. I'll I'll tell you something, sweetie. Before you even worry about that, there are so many shortcuts where the land will work for you, and you will not have to replant everything every season. And I will help you learn about those when the time comes. so that you will not have the kind of back-breaking labor that your ancestors probably had. There are other plants that are fine in your country, your climate, that basically got pushed out of the marketplace, but they are prolific food providers. And like, I sent one out to Maui, a sweet potato that grows from a vine. So I mean, you can hang this damn vine and have your sweet potatoes hanging down, and you pluck them from that, and it just keeps going. There are so many tips and tricks that will shortcut how much work, how much water you have to use, all of that stuff. When you do it smart, instead of trying to do what everybody else is doing, you'll eat. You'll eat. And you know what another fun thing to do is, once you're established? Farmers markets. Is there something wrong with those grandparents? Are they a bad influence? Or do they know things that they don't want you to know? Is it her parents or her father's? I'm sure there's history. Her parents, oh, there's shit she knows that she doesn't want you to know. Interesting. Well, how close would you actually be to them if you did this? Well, again, remove the whole idea of failure. You're too young to be a failure. A failure is someone who is 75 years old and has never found love. That's a failure. Oops. Oh. Okay, that can be a problem. That could be a problem. That would mean you'd have to be connected with them just to work out the electric and water bills. Oh, you absolutely must have that. There are ways to get around that refrigerator, but I don't think you'd enjoy it. But knowing how to keep your stuff fresh, even in the heat, is a definite advantage. And it's really nothing more than a couple of clay pots and sand and water. Well, Charlie, I hate to tell you this, but I realize that this is going to sound weird, but I did not have the money to do laundry in town, in a laundromat. Matter of fact, I'm not even sure I knew that there was such a thing as laundromats once I got out of the house and was on my own. I was very naive. I was 17 and nobody would hire me because I was underage. But I forgot what the point was. I must be getting tired. Oh, the washing. I used to wash my stuff in the bathtub and hang it outside. I even washed my own sheets and hung them over the shower curtain. It was a drag. It was a lot of work. And a lot of cleanup afterwards because it drips everywhere. So, yeah, I was really glad when someone told me about a laundromat and I had enough money to go to one. But I didn't have a car and I had to drag my laundry. I think that you have good vibes there. Again, there's nobody on the planet who knows as well as you do what you need. You're the only one who can determine what's going to be best for you. I recommend people keep options open until they feel inspired to make a move in one direction or another. That inspiration is a sign you're going in the best direction at this time for you. But whatever direction you go in, it doesn't mean that your decision has to be permanent, nor does it mean you're going to do this for the rest of your life. You can change a year from now, 2 years, 10 years. You might be so happy you never leave. You don't know until you get into it. Manal, sweet dreams, my friend. It's all right. The bills are easy to work out. They will have an average monthly bill, and then you will have yours. And the difference will be what you pay. If you got along with those people all summer, that sounds like a good start. Again, nothing is permanent. No decision we make until the day we take our last breath, nothing is permanent. Things change. We change. Everything can change. I think you know what you want to do. At least what you want to try. Give it a shot. You won't know until you try. I can't say I've loved every job I've had, but I always found something. Yeah, I get it. Oh, you're not the one with the problem. Your mother is. Those are her parents. Yes, it would. I can't imagine you moving back with your parents at this point. I tried that. I lasted 4 months and I was ready to kill them and myself. I'd already been on my own for a couple of years in New York. And when I moved back up with them in the country, I loved the country. I knew the minute I got to the country, that's where I wanted to be. But I knew it wasn't going to be with them. And boy, was I right. Yeah, yeah, you do. But understand, they're going to have their own opinions. It's all right. But you know what's good for you, and if it feels right for you, just stick by your guns. And if you're not an aggressive asshole about it, I'm sure that they'll come to see your way. And they'll probably end up feeling a bit relieved on one side, but concerned about how you're going to make a living in the future. But just because you're leaving college now doesn't mean you're never going back. Even if you can't imagine what you do, it doesn't mean you're not going back. You can go back. But study something more in alignment with your spirit. Well, that's a waste of time. They can't force anything. They couldn't force themselves to get through school. How are they going to force you? If they kick you out, you'll still end up at your grandparents' house. They can't win this one. So don't even worry about that. You want to come across in a good way so that you have their support rather than antagonize them. So think in those directions, that you're going to make a move that feels good to you. If it feels good to you, you're going in the right direction. So just trust that the right words will come to you, the right attitude. But the attitude's got to be positive. You don't want to be aggressive. There's no need for it. You need them to be on your side. You're still young. Ugh. What am I smelling? Not a bad smell, but it's the wrong smell. Well, as long as I have known you, I can't. Have you ever taken anything lightly? No need to apologize. When it's important, we have to talk about it, even if it's the same thing over and over for a while, until it feels right. No, it's strange. Smelled like baking, cookies baking. Oh, I covered up my regular watercolor palette. I'm not gonna move all of this stuff. What did I do? It's a good thing. This is the week I take everything off my desk, and we do the New Year's reconfiguring the studio. Yeah. If you're looking at it practically, the solutions will start to come into your mind. Let your, well, this is what I do when I've got a lot of complicated stuff to juggle. I trust my brain to work it out. So when I go to bed at night, I say, okay, tomorrow I will know what to do about blah, 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 blah. And I leave it to my brain to figure it out. That's how I talk to my brain all the time, like it's another entity when I'm working on my books. It's like, I need to get from A to B. I need you to help me get from A to B. And I might not know it when I wake up in the morning, but when I sit down to write, I know the way from A to B. All right. Oh, excellent. So how is he? Your guys, I don't expect long letters. From you, yes. From the average guy, no. Creative people express themselves. Oh, well, congratulations on his getting published. That's a big deal. Did he send you a copy of the article? And Christmas was fine. I don't celebrate the religion, so I just had a nice day. I light little lights and baked cookies, which I served to my friends downstairs today with coffee. It was a mellow day. That is funny. Just read it and then make an intelligent comment on it. Show your appreciation. It must be good if it got published. So yeah. Ooh, ooh la la. Well, that should help you get your stuff back home. And actually, I got a couple of gift cards. One $25 and one I have no idea. There was no number written on it. It could be anything from 5 to 20. No clue. Um, and I gave away money to someone I knew could use it. So we broke out even. Well, there you go. Is that important? Do you use a checking account? The article is 16 pages. By what? Giving you the synopsis? Read the damn thing. It's only 16 pages. You're not going to be tested on it. Hello. Oh, well. How sad. Lazy boy. So what's it on? Topic?